what we deduce from that is, while the solution to this puzzle is to go outside, you are not actually going to impact people's creative performance by explicitly telling them to do so. So people really struggle with innovation. It's a little bit like teenage sex, you know. Everyone talks about it, very few are practicing it, and in fact very few know how. So as promised, I wanted to briefly take you through the most effective sort of creativity, which I believe happens when you get back inside that box. And I'm going to do it going through 6 questions. Right, in this exercise, I would like you to come up with a piece of exercise equipment, but it has to be within a car, driving, respecting rules of safety. Who'd like to share an idea? There were restrictions in the second one. What does it do to the search engine in your brain? What's happening? It gives you an anchor point and a focus, doesn't it? Yeah. So while we think of this unbounded sort of creativity being the way to go, in fact, one of the first things I want to highlight is that constraints are what are really going to foster creativity. I want to tell you a story, and that very simple solution that was in the space and the resources of the factory floor saved the business $250,000, as not even counting the personnel. So what I've just described to you is what we call in systematic inventive thinking, which is this methodology I'm so passionate about. That's called the closed world. So we've talked about constraints. What we talk about now is this notion of a closed world. So it depends on the resolution you put to it. But that closed world, and defining that closed world, is what's going to give you some very exciting solutions. Using those elements is only going to be powerful to you if you're able to imagine using them in a way they haven't been used before. So when we use the closed world principle when we're doing inventive thinking, we always list the components and look at all the items, the matchbox. We open up the matchbox and look at all the components. Otherwise, we keep that sort of fixedness. In fact, cognitive fixedness is something that is fantastically powerful for us. We need it. But it's a big problem when you want to innovate and when you want to derive some new use for something. So those are the tools. And these are applied in a stack of different areas, not limited to marketing. So new product development, problem solving, process. Personally, one of the areas where I've absolutely loved using this was in Bayer. So I spent 12 years in Bayer, and we worked a lot on processes. Just imagine if I say to you, okay, I want to think about the closed world of a process, and I'm talking to a regulatory team, okay? And I say, can you please give me the components of a process, put it into 10 steps. And we lie the steps out, and then I pick randomly one of them and I move it. Okay, that's now your virtual product. You'll probably find that there's something very, very interesting in it. And that's the sort of game. Okay, so we reverse engineer it so that we can do that sort of exercise on demand until we come with really powerful ideas. Okay, so that's just an example for processes. Isn't it interesting how our mind goes faster when we start with form? So that's what you might do with this, and this is what you won't do with this, I hope. Never, ever think outside the box.